Hi friends, today I'm going to look at some photos that I took on a photo walk when I took a trip to Costa Rica in a town called Jaco, which is a coastal town. It was a lovely town, a very enjoyable place to take some photos. So today we're going to be looking at those photos and talking about what I was doing, why I was doing it, how they turned out. Well, let me bring my chair up. This town is an exciting place to take photos in because I have always wanted to go to a coastal town in another country with this certain aesthetic. It's a vision that I've had in my head for a long time. I was able to capture some of that, not only in this town, but in other places in Costa Rica. This is the first photo that I want to talk about today. Now, I spent a lot of time shooting down this alley. I really enjoyed this scene here, and so you'll see me coming back to it. So here we have this scene with an alleyway in the middle and some things going on the left and right side. We have a cyclist coming through, and I'm dragging the cyclist with my shutter speed, which is at 1/50th of a second. My focal length here was 50 millimeters, and if you're curious, my f-stop was f2.8. So I stood here for a while and took photos of people going by, trying to get different variations of the shot. In this case, one of the things I like is that you have the cyclist, but you can also still see down the alleyway, and there's somebody else down there, on their motorbike, acting as a very distant secondary subject. I love these palm leaves coming down and, all over the place. I love the extra bit of activity going on the right-hand side, add some character to the photo, trash can and such. A lot of times I would take those things out, but in this case, I think it actually adds some character to the photo. The lighting is quite nice. Even though this guy's in the shadow, he shows up quite well, and it still looks just fine, I think. Red shirt makes him pop a little bit. Green bike, bluish pants, maybe gray. Anyway, his color palette matches the color palette of the scene, which is something I think is quite nice. Here's another variation of an almost identical photo with a different cyclist. One of the things that did not work about this photo so well is the fellow in the background, or the middle ground, to the left of the cyclist. He's not in full stride, and so this photo works better. The cyclist has now moved to the other side of the alleyway. Still works out quite nice. And that motorbike guy is still there. I don't know if he was just parked. Anyway, thank you, motorbike guy. A dynamic that's happening in this photo, which I think is interesting, is because the subject is a little bit darker, a little bit less prominent in terms of lighting, it turns this photo into a photo of everything, not just the subject and then everything. So this is a photo of a scene, not just a photo of a cyclist who's passing through a scene. The emphasis is different. Now in this case, I think the subject was still very important because it made the overall photo more interesting and visually engaging, but the subject is more so part of the scene than it is the main emphasis, and then the scene secondarily, if that makes sense. Even though it kind of, you get what I'm saying. There's a shifting of emphases. Same spot, another variation, different cyclist. This time we have a guy on a motorcycle going by, very interesting motorcycle. Nice color, matches the environment well. Still at a 50th of a second, f2.8 aperture, so you can see the background pushes out of focus more and more as it goes into the distance. Not absolutely necessary for a photo like this, but I think it's a nice effect. We have an environmental shot, very beautiful evening light, moody sky, just kind of capturing the overall scene and aesthetic and what I was seeing, what I was feeling about the environment. Not necessarily a clear subject here, probably more so as a secondary photo, but once again, we're back to the alley. The light is completely changed. Street lights are nice and bright. Our subject is a fellow walking by on the sidewalk. I'm playing with layering here, right? So we have a car in the foreground, car in the in the middle ground, right where the fellow is, right behind it, and then off down into the alley. So the alley acts as this nice visual funnel, clear spot to put people on. And you can see how the difference in light has completely changed the aesthetic of the scene in a really fun way. Here I moved a little bit to the left. There was a car coming down the alley, lights creating this nice haze, and I really like the effect here. I think it turned out quite nice. And then check this out. Now we have a guy on a bicycle who is riding into that light. The light is around him, defining him well, drawing the eye to him, and then we have another guy coming by on a motorcycle out of focus, so he's not competing too much with that fellow going down the alley. Really fun convergence of elements here. And then we have some people on the right as well hanging out. I really love the lighting dynamic here. This is a fun scene. This is a great example of mining a spot. The longer you sit there and mine that spot, the more options you're going to get. Then we progress on. I think this was the same guy riding down the alley, and he's riding into the light, going to be with the Lord squad. I don't tend to do a lot of nighttime street photography, but this makes me want to do more. I really like the dynamic here. What I love about the difference between day and night photography is different things are emphasized in the scene because of where the light is or is not. So if you're shooting at night, there are certain things that are going to be lit by points of light that makes them more prominent, whereas in the daytime the whole scene might be prominent, right? The night has this minimalizing effect for your photo. So we have this general environmental scene with cars moving about, and then we have this one, which has a very clear subject. We have the fellow in the car. If I remember correctly, I had to brighten his face quite a bit to make him prominent. I think it's worked out really well. He's looking straight at me, and he's placed in this really interesting environment. Even the cars there are more interesting than what I find in America, I gotta say. And by the way, for this one, once again, I'm shooting at a 50th of a second. The ISO is at 640 at this point, and the f-stop is at 1.8 at this point. 50 millimeter focal length. So then, within this exciting nighttime environment, I started playing with some action-packed shutter drags once more. We have, similar to the alleyway photos, me looking down a road, makes for a great backdrop. And we have somebody on a moped going by, shutter dragged right in the center. Nice environment on the left and the right. Good stuff. Then we have one of my favorites from the night. We have this girl going by on a bike. She's nicely lit. You can see the moped much darker. Nicely lit. Beautiful scene. I really love this photo. We have this beautiful balanced scene. One of the things for me with a photo that determines if it's balanced or not is if I feel like I could like drop it onto a point and it would not fall left or right because of visual weight on either side of the photo, it's balanced. And this is a great example of that. Now the building on the right may be storing thousands of pounds of rocks. So I understand this analogy is not perfect, but I'm doing my best. Give me a break. Love the different shades of light. We have some cool light going on. We have some warmer light coming from those street lights. Like I said, once again, we have light on the subject, making her nice and prominent. Slight blur, not too aggressive that she's just a mush, but just enough to know that she's moving through the scene. It feels perfect. You can see I've given it this nice cinematic crop, which makes it feel cinematic. So then we have this motorcyclist coming through. I am now tracking with the motorcyclist, which is blurring the background, creating for a very exciting scene. Once again, 1/50th of a second. I love these kinds of shots. They make me want to do a dance. So we have him on the right-hand side in front of one storefront, and then we have him on the left-hand side in front of another storefront. You can see he's fairly sharp. The background is, of course, dramatically blurred, and then the wheels as well are pleasingly blurred. But it's great that you can still discern all of the stuff that's going on in the background. It looks cool, provides context. And we can think about how this photo would be changed if the shutter was not dragging. If the background was sharp, it would create a very different photo. Then we have this one, which gets a little bit more abstract because our fellow's starting to blur as well, but still works. Then we have this one of a van coming by. I'm following him. One quick tip: if you are tracking with a subject, it is a good idea to start tracking before you take the photo. So if you want to take a photo here, track from here, because your muscles have time to lock on to the subject, and as you're taking photos, you'll have more of an ability to keep them sharp as they're going by. If you don't give your time muscles to lock on, you won't move at the same speed as the subject, which is devastating. I think I'm slouching a bit too much. Really like this photo. His face is nicely lit. Really the reason why the photo works here. So I'm tracking, then we have this nice tight side profile shot, and I really like it. Vista Los Sueños, I think. Adventure Park. Nice wheel blur. Okay, and then we have these last few shots, and boy, oh boy, are they bangers for me. We have a car coming by, tracking with the car, this nice light bloom coming from the left-hand side. Such a vibe. We have the face well lit in the car. I mean, not you know, super bright, but definitely enough. Cinematic crop, which makes it feel cinematic, Michael Bay aesthetic, really. So then we have this next one. We have the sense that the car is going into the light. The light is more prominent, nice flare, really fun lighting effects going on. We have something green going on the right-hand side. Cool, fun. So we have this very pleasing aesthetic. And then the final shot, just fully activated light bloom, ray, flare, action. I have always welcomed dramatic light bloom. I think it's fun. In this case, it's almost acting as a subframing element where it's so bright on the left-hand side, there's no detail there. So it draws your eye more towards the middle, and then on the right-hand side, you have these interesting green circles going on. Once again, it kind of directs your eye back towards the middle. The left-hand side is just complete nothingness, and I love when my photos have parts of it that are complete nothingness because it draws your attention to what is clear. And once again, I mean, these are the types of photos that you can get at night with all the different light sources flying around. I like that there is enough environment here that there is context of where we're at and what's happening, but it's blurred, out of focus. It's not prominent enough that it's clashing with the subject and the car that the subject's in. It just acts as a helper in the photo to put us somewhere in the world. But boy, oh boy, do I love this photo. And in general, I had a lot of fun taking photos in Costa Rica. It's a very fun place to capture both in the city and out of the city. We went on some lovely hikes as well. And I do have another video, by the way, of us going on a hike to a waterfall, me, my wife, and my daughter, and having to cross a flooded river. So if you want to check that out, you can. Also, links below to my Skillshare class if you guys want to learn street photography in a comprehensive and easy to understand way, and you want to watch me talk for 2 hours. That's there. 1 month of Skillshare for free as well. So there you go. You can learn whatever you want. I forgot how to tie my shoelaces. There might be one. I don't know if that's actually a thing. Let me see. How to tie your shoes. You know, they don't have how to tie your shoes yet. Somebody's got to get on that. They can make millions. Here, I got it. This will be my next Skillshare class. Over, under, loop-de-loop, pull, bunny ears. Anyway, thank you so much, guys, for watching this. I really appreciate it. If you want to hit the like button, I would appreciate that. If you want to subscribe, I would appreciate that. Feel free to comment. I would love to engage with you guys. I hope you have a lovely day. Goodbye.